Welcome to my What Movies I Watched in February 2025. Let's get started. The first movie I watched was. Also, by the way, I get so excited to watch Carissa Love's videos where she's like, the media that I consumed this month. I'm like, I want to make. I need my videos of what movies I watch every single month to be that cool. The first thing I finished watching was The Count of Monte Cristo. Okay, not the French version, not the 2024 version, the 2025 version with Sam Claflin. So it was a TV show and it wasn't on Letterboxd, but now it's on Letterboxd, so I can log it. Because it's weird how sometimes TV shows are on Letterboxd, but sometimes they're not. But yes, there was 8 episodes, and I watched most of it in January, and then I watched the last episode in February. So I technically finished it in February. And when I tell you, this movie was this series was so incredible. It's The Count of Monte Cristo, so I feel like it's gonna be incredible every single time, no matter what. It doesn't matter, like, it's The Count of Monte Cristo, it's gonna be good. It's just good every time. It's kind of sad that the French version is gonna overshadow this version, but still, I honor every single version of The Count of Monte Cristo. I love them all. Also, I just found out that Orson Welles has his own radio version of Count of Monte Cristo that he did in the 1930s, and I'm obsessed. I'm like listening to it over and over again every night to go to sleep. I can't believe it. I can't believe I hadn't heard of that earlier. I gave that 5 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd because obviously, like, it's gonna be good no matter what. It's the Count of Monte Cristo. It's gonna take a lot to ruin Count of Monte Cristo. Next, I watched Battle Royale. What is that? No, did you guys see that come up on my phone for a second there? What was that? It's basically like the OG Hunger Games. It's the OG Squid Games, and it's in Japanese. And I like didn't know much about this movie. I always hear people talking about Battle Royale, and I just like never paid attention to it, and I don't know why. But I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, 4 out of 5 stars. It's about these eighth graders, ninth graders, who like go off to this little island and are left to like kill each other. Like the thing that ruined this movie though is like, and it's like this with a lot of Japanese media, like these are ninth graders and they're way too in love. It's it's just ridiculous. And I feel like that's true with Hunger Games and stuff where the love is just the relationships and stuff is just ridiculous for ninth graders. These people are like killing each other, like, go on without me. I'm like, dude, you're like 14. Next, I watched Burnt. I think it's inspired by Anthony Bourdain, but I mainly just watched it because it's set in London and I just love watching movies that are set in London. I can't even remember why I watched it actually. I just felt like watching a movie about food. But yeah, it's set in London and it's got Bradley Cooper in it. And I gave it 2.5 stars because it was weird. It's basically this story where Bradley Cooper is a chef and he's trying to get his third Michelin star, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. He's trying to get his third Michelin star. And it just, you know how if you've ever worked like near a kitchen and stuff, you know that chefs are always angry and they're always yelling at each other and stuff. And I feel like this movie, I think it's based on a book, it just glorifies it way too much. I'm like, why are you glorifying men yelling at each other? I always felt like that was so weird with the restaurant industry. I'm like, why are chefs being abusive just like the norm? Like, it's really weird. I love chefs. Like, I understand it is stressful, it's a stressful job, it's hard work, but also at the same time, like, calm down with the yelling. Like, nothing's that serious, right? Well, I mean, like, yeah, some things are that serious. Like, somebody can die from, like, an allergy and things in a kitchen, but at the same time, this movie, you're just trying to get your third Michelin star, I think you'll be alright. And if this was based on Anthony Bourdain, that was a fail. I didn't get the Anthony Bourdain vibe from it, but it also had Sienna Miller in it. It was a fun movie. That's about it. It was still cool to see like all of these different London places be used in a film though, because I just love when places I go to so often are in movies. Next, I watched Apple Cider Vinegar, which is this show on Netflix about Mel Gibson. I was so excited to watch this because Caitlin Dever's in it and she's playing an Australian, and it's so accurate. Her accent is so accurate, it's insane. And I'm pretty sure, apparently she had the same accent coach that Dev Patel had when he did Lion. Oh my god, it had so many icons from like Dance Academy. Like it had Alicia Debnam Carey. Is that Debnam? I think that's how you say it. Alicia Debnam Carey. She was also in this other movie I loved. She was also in It's What's Inside. I just loved this show. I gave it 4.5 stars. I loved it. I have to take away half a star because I'm like, the ethics of it is kind of weird. Real life people were exploited by Mel Gibson, and now you're just making this show without ever reaching out to them and stuff. Like, it's a little odd. If you're somebody from Mel Gibson's life, I can see why you would be mad. This show just reminded me of so many people I know in real life, like anti-vaxxers and like conspiracy theorists and stuff. I know so many people who are actually like this, who genuinely think that going on some diet will cure their cancer. And it reminded me of that lady, Elle Macpherson. She cured her cancer holistically in the Arizona desert, guys. She was married to a billionaire, so she has the financial means to do that. But I just think it's so terrible to like push those narratives. So in a world where Freely the Banana Girl and Barbara O'Neill and people like that are all over the place spreading weird concepts about food, I think shows like this are so important. Next thing I watched is The Last Showgirl by Gia Capula. Nepo Baby Slay. Sorry for saying Gia Capula like that, but it's a fun name to say like that. Gia Capula also did Mainstream, which I loved. I didn't like that Jake Paul was in it. That was good. I love Pamela Anderson. And I know Pamela Anderson has had some questionable moments. Like, she had a moment where she was on a Good Morning America or something, and she literally said, I want to write a book called Saving Women from Feminism. Sorry, what? And she was quite literally married to Tommy Lee and Kid Rock. I'm saying that's questionable. But for the most part, I love Pamela Anderson. She's an icon and she's so beautiful. And the fact that she's not wearing makeup now, as a woman who's 57 or 58, wow, she is so beautiful. I'm not trying to be that person, but I don't think it's a movie that men will understand. Well, I think men will get it and men might relate to it, but I think it's more for women who feel like they're aging out. Getting older as a woman is so scary because you feel like once you hit like 30, you're just going to be kicked off to the side, like you've hit the wall, whatever. Pamela Anderson just makes me so excited to be in my 50s. She makes me excited to age, thank God. Thank God we have celebrities like that now who make you excited to age. I don't think Pamela Anderson ever got to have that for her generation, right? I really hope that like in the future the narrative around like women aging will be better. I'm scared it won't be, but let's hope. And then next I watched Boiling Point. This is another movie I watched because it's set in London and everyone's telling me to go to this restaurant that it's filmed at. I didn't even know what this movie was about or anything. Wow. Did it do the hospitality industry just... It was like the hospitality industry's Joker. It represented working at a restaurant, working at a bar so well. Like, I saw this other review on Letterboxd that said, does for working in hospitality what Jaws did for sharks. Literally. Like, when I watched it, I literally felt like I was working at this restaurant. It was that good. And it's filmed as a one-cut take. This movie, Boiling Point, is actually how you film a one-shot take film. Thank you for actually doing a single shot take properly. Thank you. And the actors in it were amazing. And apparently there's a Boiling Point show as well. I loved this movie. I gave it 4.5 stars. I didn't even write a review for it. Next, I watched The Witch of King's Cross, which is a documentary. It's about this lady, Rosalie Norton, an artist who lived in King's Cross, and I used to live in King's Cross, so I used to live in like Potts Point, King's Cross area. So, and I know the street that she lived on, and I just can't believe I never knew anything about her. And I saw a lot of her artwork this month, so I just thought, I'm gonna watch this movie. This lady, Rosalie Norton, she was very sexually liberated. I definitely want to know more about her, but it's so hard to like find information about Rosalie Norton online or on YouTube or like movies about her or anything. She's not really that popular, but she needs to become more popular. Guys, seriously, I want to watch more stuff about her. Next, I watched As Above, So Below, which is this movie where it's like a horror movie, and I've seen this movie so much on TikTok. So I always thought it was like a TikTok movie. I mean, yeah, it is. But I decided to finally watch it as per everybody on TikTok recommending it. And it's where idiots go down into the Paris catacombs and they look for the Philosopher's Stone, and obviously the catacombs and the Philosopher's Stone mixing together is a disaster waiting to happen. I gave it 3.5 stars. Like, I actually thought it was good for a TikTok movie. Like, it wasn't no like Megan is Missing. Like, guys, I'm still mad. I watched Megan is Missing like 5 years ago, and I'm still mad that I wasted my time watching that. That was such an awful TikTok movie. But I feel like every now and then I see a movie on TikTok and it slaps. And like this, 3.5 stars. I thought it was good. And yeah, if you're into like Paris history and the catacombs and the Philosopher's Stone, you'll like this movie. Next, I watched The Visit by M. Night Shyamalan. Love him. He's so good at horror movies. But I actually gave this movie 4 stars, which I'm looking at other people's reviews on Letterboxd and nobody else is giving this movie that many stars, but I did, because it's literally got icons in it. Like, this movie had Olivia DeJonge and Ed Oxenbould in it. Like, icons. These people are icons. It's also got Catherine Hahn in it, like, as the mom, but she's barely in it, but it's still, I just love seeing movies with her in it because she deserves the world. But it's where Olivia DeJonge and Ed Oxenbould, they go to their grandparents' house, and then their grandparents are really weird. And it's a horror movie. And it's like filmed in a style of Olivia DeJonge wanting to be a film director, and I love that. Kind of vlogging, like the movie is in like a vlogging style of film. So kind of the Blair Witch Project vibes, but improved in an M. Night Shyamalan style. Next, I watched this movie called Lee. It's got Kate Winslet in it. It's got Andy Samberg in it. It's got Alexander Skarsgård in it. Iconic cast. It's about this photographer, Lee Miller. And by the way, they're doing a Lee Miller exhibition at the Tate later this year, which I am so excited to go to. But it just tells the story about Lee Miller. And actually, I don't even think she was that popular when she was alive, but after she passed away, she became more popular because her son and her granddaughter found her photos and just like brought them to the public eye and brought attention to them. And she has some insane photos. Like, she sat in Hitler's bathtub and she documented so many bits of history. Look up Lee Miller, she is amazing. I even listened to so many podcasts that had her granddaughter in them this month. Next, I watched this movie, Anaconda. It's got Jennifer Lopez and Ice Cube in it, but I gave it 2 stars because this movie just, it had John Voight in it. And if you don't know, John Voight is Angelina Jolie's abusive dad, and he's awful, and he literally, I swear to God, he played himself in this movie. I can't make this up. Like, he was just this disgusting guy in this movie who tries to kill Jennifer Lopez and Ice Cube and Owen Wilson, and he's just so ugly and disgusting. And I swear that's actually what Jon Voight is like in real life, because Angelina Jolie wants nothing to do with him. So I'm like, I think we can put the pieces together and realize this guy is awful. He's very much a Johnny Depp type of person. And in the movie, he's a Johnny Depp type of person, and it's disgusting. But I gave it 2 stars because I was like, this is too cringe. I still thought it was fun. Like, funny in the way where when you watch a really, like, hilarious horror movie, sometimes you can laugh at it. It was funny in that way. Next, I watched The Green Inferno. This is another movie that I constantly see on TikTok. And finally, I was like, all right, I'm going to watch this TikTok movie where these activists from New York go to the Amazon rainforest and protest to save this indigenous community. And they're like climate activists, and then disaster unravels because they end up being cannibals, and they get like taken by this cannibal tribe. Look how exotic people in the Amazon are. Like, oh my god, like that vibe, like that outdated stereotype like of a tribe in the Amazon, like, oh my god, they're cannibals, kind of outdated stereotype. It was weird. I still like the movie though. Like, look, I'm not gonna be too woke. I'm gonna be woke, but I'm not gonna be too woke. Like, it represented the way that sometimes people can be political because they just want to be morally superior and not because they are actually believing in what they say. Sometimes you hear people talk about how much they hate billionaires, and it's like, you don't actually hate billionaires, you just hate that you're not a billionaire. Like, it gave me that vibe. Like, the climate activists in this movie, they didn't give the vibe that they actually cared about this indigenous tribe. But I definitely think it was so gory as well, to the point where I was like, it's kind of unnecessary. Like, what was the point of that? But it had the kid from Spy Kids in it, which the one that's married to Meghan Trainor. So I thought that was cool. I was like, oh, I haven't seen him in years. And there he is, getting ripped apart. That's not a spoiler. Next, I watched this movie, Abigail. It's got Melissa Barrera in it and Alicia Weir. She's also in Matilda, the movie musical. And obviously, like, I mainly just watched it because I want to support my girl, my pro-Palestine girl, Melissa Barrera. She is a queen. I gave this movie 3.5 stars, but this little girl is such a good actor for her age. I'm like, whoa. I think she's a queen, and I think she's going to play Dorothy in the second Wicked movie. But they're keeping all the Wicked Part 2 stuff really hush-hush, so we'll have to wait and find out. Basically, they kidnap this girl who's like a billionaire's kid, and they want to get like $50 million ransom money from her, and then the rest unravels from there. It's another horror movie. Like, it's another horror movie with the twist. You need to watch it. Yeah, it's got Catherine Newton in it. It's got Angus Cloud in it. R.I.P. If you care about those people, watch it as well. I don't know anything about Catherine Newton. And Angus Cloud, I know that he was in Euphoria. He gives Mac Miller vibes. He was a waiter. Next, I watched this movie, Strange Darling. I hated this movie. Yeah, this was the worst movie I watched this month. It was bad. It was misogynistic. Okay, misogynistic is even like an understatement for this. It was like, and the whole concept is, what if women lie about, what if we don't believe all women? It was just so misogynistic, and I don't think anybody should watch this movie. And I feel really bad for the actors in this movie because they were really good. I don't know why this movie was made. I don't know who thought this was a good idea. I hated it. And like, if you read my review on it, it's got spoilers. Don't watch that movie. I don't recommend. I gave it 1 star. I didn't give it a half star. I gave it 1 star because the actors, I thought they were cool. And I'm so sorry to the actors for having to be in that movie. Moving on. I don't want to talk about that movie too much. I don't even want to give that movie attention. It was that offensive to like assault survivors and women who have been abused and kidnapped. I'm serious. But next, I watched Sinister with Ethan Hawke in it. I gave this movie 3 stars. It's about Ethan Hawke is a true crime writer and he moves into this house where a murder happened, and then he finds film footage of the murders happening, like a stuff film in the attic. Turns out something supernatural is happening, and there's kids in the movie, and you know, kids in a horror movie, something supernatural happening. Oh my god, crazy stuff is gonna go down. Like, these kids are gonna be annoying. This movie is just such an effective PSA for staying child free. Once you get to the end of the movie as well, you'll truly understand how annoying the kids in this movie are and how in the way they are. Like, dude, I was rooting for Ethan Hawke's character to write a good true crime novel, and yet this family ruined it. The kids ruined it. The kids ruined his relationship with his wife, and then they ruined his book, and they ruined his life. Next, I watched Blitz by Steve McQueen, and it's got Saoirse Ronan in it. Okay, I took a little break. I got my hojicha latte. It looks like chocolate or something. I highly recommend if you're a matcha drinker, but you don't want to have matcha at night because matcha has caffeine, but this doesn't have caffeine. And it's basically like a roasted matcha. So I can drink it all night long. Where was I up to? Oh yes, so I just said I watched Blitz, and now I'm saying the next movie I watched was The Others, featuring Nicole Kidman. I gave this movie 4.5 stars. Let me tell you, this movie, okay, I saw the plot twists coming. So this movie is like if you like plot twists, you're gonna love this movie. But I did see them coming. And then when I was reading other people's reviews, they're like, oh my god, like, multiple plot twists in a movie. Like, I did not see that. But I did. But I think it's because I really watch a lot of movies and I really understand, like, Chekhov's gun and foreshadowing. So I just am always ahead of the game, I feel like, when I watch movies. But I loved the vibe in this movie. It was so... You know that show, The Haunting of Hill House? I think Haunted of Hill House might have been, like, inspired by this movie because it gave that vibe. It gave that cloudy, old house in England vibe, and I love that. I love that, like, countryside of England vibe. It kind of was like British Ethel Cain vibes. Like, who's like the British Ethel Cain? I really thought this movie was iconic, and I thought Nicole Kidman was so good as a mother, because she's so mother, and her British accent, her posh British accent, was amazing. I loved it. But highly recommend everybody go watch The Others. Next, I watched A Complete Unknown. I finally watched it. I watched it at the Barbican, by the way. Love the Barbican. Bob Dylan's a narcissist, first of all. He broke so many women's hearts. Like, the way that he would just jump to woman was, oh my god, like, I've always hated that about Bob Dylan. He broke Edie Sedgwick's heart. Justice for Edie Sedgwick. Too many men broke Edie Sedgwick's heart. But, like, throughout the movie, I was like, he broke Sylvie's heart, he broke Joan Baez's heart. Like, I can't stand this guy, alright? Like, I can't believe he got a movie about him. I'm like, mad that he got a movie about him. Timothée Chalamet was a very good actor. I gave the movie 3 stars. The movie was just very good if you want, like, an introduction to who Bob Dylan is. And he's an awful person. Timothée Chalamet grew out his nails for this movie. Edward Norton, icon. Edward Norton was iconic. And I really feel like I need to learn more about Woody Guthrie. He's like a socialist and stuff, so I'm like, I need to know more about him. So I think next month and stuff, I'll like learn more about Woody Guthrie. And I'm really into that kind of music that Bonnie and Clyde would have liked. Woody Guthrie. I keep forgetting if his name is Woody Guthrie or Woody Guthrie, but it's Woody Guthrie. It's a good movie if you want an introduction to Bob Dylan, like I said. I feel like Hojicha is going to be the new trend. It's coming up. It's coming up. Like, people, like, matcha is getting too oversaturated in the world, and Hojicha is going to be like the next thing. And then the last movie I watched in February was Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. It's got Robert De Niro in it. Okay. Talking about Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, I loved the first half of this movie. The first half I was watching it, I was like, wow, this is really good. Wow, it's actually honoring the book really well. And then it got to the part where the monster was revealed, and I just thought, oh no. Mary Shelley would have hated that. The Robert De Niro's monster did not honor Mary Shelley's descriptive writing at all. I'm sorry, but the way that Mary Shelley described Frankenstein was not what Robert De Niro looked like in this movie. And also, like, don't get me wrong, it was shocking that that was actually Robert De Niro, because it looked nothing like him. And I'm honestly like, wow, is that even Robert De Niro? Mary Shelley, sweetie, this movie did not do you justice. It was a fun movie, though. It was like a fun reimagination of Frankenstein. But the fact that it says in the title, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, what I'm expecting is Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. This is just like a reimagination of Frankenstein. It's not Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. But I still thought it was good, so I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. And it's also got Helena Bonham Carter in it. Honestly, like, Frankenstein is just so ahead of its time. And I don't think Frankenstein is like what people think it is. Like, it's not a horror movie. It's actually a heart-wrenching movie about losing someone. Mary Shelley, she lost her mom, she lost her baby. She got that inspiration from, like, grief, and then she wrote this book. In London, the weather is so grey and rainy, and I feel so Mary Shelley. That's all the movies I watched in February 2025. How many movies is that? I watched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I watched 19 movies. I mean, last month I watched 38, which was ridiculous. So 19, I think that's a productive amount. That's like a productive amount of movies I watched that doesn't scream, I have no life, I'm in bed all day. It just screams like, I watch movies. Like and subscribe, or don't.